Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. I'm Sander Seegers. Fabrizio Romano's tweeted out with a package update on Manchester United summer transfers. How are you first of all? But second of all, we'll get straight into the Fabrizio Romano tweet. We'll go straight into the Dembele stuff. He says that Manchester United won't accept to sign Dembele on a permanent deal as Barcelona asks. Only on loan, not easy. So he's basically all but confirming the fact that the Ousmane Dembele deal is pretty much dead in the water at this point. You know, Manchester United want a loan deal, Barcelona want a permanent deal. The two clubs are very, distant in what they want out of the deal, and so it seems like that deal is off. What do you guys think? I said earlier in my stream this morning that, listen, the only circumstance in which I'd want Ousmane Dembele at the club is if, Jadon Sancho, that deal falls through, and if Ousmane Dembele comes in on a loan. I said if it was to be on a permanent deal, I'd absolutely not want it to happen. But now it seems like the only way it can happen is if Ousmane Dembele comes in on a permanent deal. So what do you guys think of that? Saying that, of course, it does seem like the deal is pretty much off, which, considering the fact that Jadon Sancho wasn't in Borussia Dortmund's squad today for their fixture, bodes quite well for that Jadon Sancho deal. What do you guys think? Who is this guy? I'm Sander, nice to meet you. Someone says, not Cavani. We'll get into that in just a second. And Sawasta says, this is a sick transfer window for Manchester United. Neither they can buy fresh talent, nor can they clear the existing baggages. I'd agree with that. But I think it's quite a good sign that... Dembele, that deal is pretty much off. As you can see there, I'll read it out for you again. Fabrizio Romano says that Manchester United won't accept to sign Dembele on a permanent deal as Barca asked. Only a loan. It's not easy. And I think that's a good sign because I think, first of all, that means that Manchester United are basically just going to go hell for leather for the Jadon Sancho thing. And as I said, the fact that he wasn't in the squad with Borussia Dortmund today is very exciting for a Manchester United fan. But second of all, I think it is a good sign in regards to where Manchester United's head at, and that they clearly see that Ousmane Dembele is too much of a risk to sign for big wages, for big fees on a permanent deal. And so I like that. I like the noises coming out of Manchester United and Fabrizio Romano as far as that deal is concerned. Thank you all for your happy birthday messages, but of course I want to know your opinions on the news. Good news. Thank you so much for everything. That's from Win Nang Tun. Yeah, I think it's good news. I think everyone's going to be pretty happy about the fact that it seems like Ousmane Dembele and that deal is pretty much over. Of course, things can still happen, and as Fabrizio Romano says, it's not easy. That doesn't mean that it's over, despite some others that sort of related to him saying that it might be over. But until Fabrizio Romano says that it's over, I'm sort of holding off on that stance. But it does look like the deal will be very difficult to do, and so that, as I said, bodes well for the Jadon Sancho deal. Ross says, happy birthday and hope you're fully fit soon, although don't think Sancho not being in the squad means anything. I understand, obviously, Michael Zorc, their director of football, I think it is, came out and said that he's just ill, and it's nothing to do with transfers and I think it's all chat. I still think there's time, and I still think there's things that can be done in regards to Jadon Sancho to Manchester United, and I think Ousmane Dembele and that deal, pretty much being off is quite a good sign as far as Jadon Sancho to Manchester United is concerned. Your super chats, thank you guys so much for your contributions. Reflection says, Manchester United, the new retirement home for aging players. No need to go to China or America now. Manchester United is here. Screw this club. That's from Reflection. Thank you for your contribution, and I think you're referencing Edison Cavani and that and the sort of deal there to Manchester United. We'll have to wait and see. I'll talk to you about that in just a second. Zane says, Dembele joining the Arteta revolution. Dembele, Laka, Aubameyang, Willian, best attack in Europe, of course, Zane, the Arsenal fan. Thank you so much for your contribution. And I think, Arsenal can have him as far as Manchester United fans are concerned. His injury record simply isn't good enough. His attitude has been questioned as well. And, I don't want him at Manchester United, so then I can't moan about other teams potentially going in and getting him, although there's no chance you're going to go in and get him, because if Barcelona want to sell him on a permanent deal, there's no way Arsenal go in and buy him, because he's just going to be too expensive for them. And he won't be 100 million. He'll be, maybe 60, 70, 80, but that Arsenal won't go and sign him, especially not after Pepe last year. Mimi says, I just can't see us signing him. Well, we'll move on then, whilst you guys get your comments in about Ousmane Dembele and that deal being off. It seems like a lot of you are quite interested in talking about the Edison Cavani deal. Of course, Fabrizio Romano in this tweet also tweets, Manchester United in talks for different players, but they won't accept to pay the crazy wages and agents' fees for Edison Cavani. Talks are on, though. And I think this is something that's been emerging on Manchester United Twitter, on football Twitter, in the last couple of hours, that Manchester United are ramping up their interest in Edison Cavani. And listen, I want to know, get your comments in whilst I chat a little bit. Get your comments in. Is Edison Cavani a deal that you guys want to see happen? I personally don't, especially the fact that he's looking to come in on, 200 grand a year. I don't want to see that deal happen whatsoever. He apparently wants a long-term contract again. I don't see how you're going to give an elderly sort of pensioner a long-term contract on 200 grand a year. I understand he's a free agent, but there's no way he can come in on 200 grand a year. I don't think we need him. I think someone like Josh King, for example, might be a better deal. And that sounds mental that I might want Josh King over Edison Cavani. But Edison Cavani to come in and sit on the bench for 200 grand a week doesn't sit right with me, because I don't think whoever you bring in at this point, very little people come in and replace Martial up front. Now, I understand he's not played well as of late. You could argue that might be down to the lack of service. I understand, though, that he hasn't necessarily bagged as many goals as Manchester United might want him to. Regardless, I like the way that Solskjaer's trying to build a fluid, interactive, into sort of changeable front three. And I think if you bring Edison Cavani into that disrupts that slightly. So I don't think that happens. I think he comes in, if he does, to sit on the bench. But as I said, to come in and sit on the bench for 200 grand a week doesn't sit quite right with me. I want to know what you guys think. Ben Giles says 200k a year. Yeah, I mean, listen, apparently he's coming in and asking huge wages. I think it was like 10 million euros a year. So I think I broke that down to about 200k a week. Did I say 200k a year? I apologise. I mean 200k a week. I think he's apparently wanting about 10 million euros a year, so that's 200k a week. Sorry, I do apologise for that. But yeah, listen, it's not for me. A lot of you guys are correcting my statement there. I apologise. Gavin says, I still think / hope Sancho will come, but I don't believe he is not playing to push a move, as it surveys no purpose if United haven't put an offer in. Why hurt his club when it's us holding things up? Well, on your comment, and I don't want to talk too much necessarily on Sancho now, but what I will say is I wouldn't rule out the fact that he's, pushing for a move. I think it makes sense, and even though, we've heard that Jadon Sancho isn't the sort of player that would do that, listen, there's 2-3 days left in the transfer window, and his move to Manchester United looks like it's not going to go through. People change when pressure hits, and so hopefully, as far as Manchester United are concerned, he is pushing for a move, and that might sort of force Dortmund's hand a little bit into accepting a bid that might be slightly under the £109 million that they were initially asking for. But yeah, 200k a week, sorry. I see everyone in the comments. 200k a week is what Cavani's asking for. Now, Fabrizio Romano says that Manchester United won't accept that they won't accept Edison Cavani's extortionate wage sort of demands and agent fees. And so he's apparently going to have to lower that if the deal is going to happen. But again, Ousmane Dembele to Manchester United on huge wages and Edison Cavani to Manchester United on huge wages just doesn't feel like an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer plan. It feels to me like the board are panicking slightly and like the board are scrambling around trying to get a player. Edison Cavani, you've scored goals in the Champions League. We'll have you for 200 grand a week. Ousmane Dembele, you were brilliant once. We'll have you in the team. That feels like it's what's happening to me. It feels like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted Jadon Sancho, not Ousmane Dembele. It feels like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, well, I don't know who else he might want in front of Edison Cavani, but it doesn't feel like he wants Edison Cavani. Maybe he wanted Timo Werner or someone like that before he went to Chelsea. So, Edison Cavani is absolutely not a deal that I'd like to see happen. D says, Woodward down with COVID, deals are off. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm sure you can still do deals remotely, etc. Samin says, Cavani will never come to United. Well, as far as I'm concerned, let's hope. Ask yourself, this is from Craig, ask yourself, is Cavani a step up from Ighalo or James? The answer is yes. The fact is that we need quality now. I understand what you're saying, and as I've been talking, I've sort of been thinking about my opinion, and do I really agree with it? And I think yes, I don't want Edison Cavani to come to Manchester United, but if it's going to be on slightly less wages than he's willing to, that he's demanding for, and that is the only circumstance in which Manchester United bring Edison Cavani to the club, is on slightly less wages. And so if they do that, and he is willing to sit on the bench and come on and make an impact, then yeah, he probably is better than Ighalo in that circumstance, right? But if you're going to come in on huge wages, 200k a week, or something ridiculous like that, then the deal, I don't like the deal, you know? I especially don't like the deal if Jadon Sancho doesn't happen, because I feel like all my eggs are looking towards that basket. And as I said, the fact that the Ousmane Dembele deal is looking slightly unlikely or increasingly unlikely bodes well for the Jadon Sancho deal. So that's where my focus is. But yeah, Chris says not at those demands. No, I agree. That's what I said. You know, if he can lower the wage demands and the agent fees can get, you know, normal and real, and you can go back to reality and not start asking for X amount of mil, then I'd absolutely consider it, because realistically he's a free agent. If you stick him on some normal wages or normal to high wages, because he probably is a decent player, sit on the bench and come on and make an impact, or you're going to be a rotation player for maybe the Champions League or something like that. Anything else, and I don't like it. But that's myself. I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys like the deal? Is it sort of a player that you like to... I always get clickbaited. I always get baited into sort of thinking that United have announced Sancho or something like that. Dethrone says, look at the bright side. If Cavani joins, Phil Jones would have a friend to accompany him to the hospital. Yeah, imagine Dembele, Jones and Cavani. Stephen says, happy birthday, Sander. Thank you so much, pal. Pyro TGR says, sign Cavani for the squad depth, not for the starter. This will help the development of the Greenwood, Marshall and Rashford. Yeah, I see that. 100%, and I think it's an absolutely valid comment. But for myself, it just doesn't seem like an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing, and so for that reason, I don't want to see it happen. It doesn't seem like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has gone, we'll get Edison Cavani and he can come in and sit on the bench, and it feels wrong. It certainly feels wrong, and so, yeah, that's why I don't want to see it happen. We can flick through a couple of slides that we have. As we say here, Hagrid says, not that Hagrid. Hagrid on Twitter says, breaking, Dembele will stay at Barcelona. And apparently Fabrizio Romano does retweet Hagrid's account and tweets. So he's fairly credible, hopefully. So there is another confirmation that Dembele will stay at Manchester United, that will stay at Barcelona and will not be coming to Manchester United, which I'm very, very happy about. And then we go on to the other slide from Rob Dawson. I think Fabrizio Romano quote tweeted him as well and said, Manchester United are in discussions with Edison Cavani about a move to Old Trafford. Free agent after leaving PSG, which is a positive. He has been offered every major club in Europe, but United now actively working on an agreement. Should be working on Jadon Sancho. Will probably need to lower wage demands. So again, that sort of reiterates what Fabrizio Romano said in this tweet about the fact that Manchester United will only sign Edison Cavani if his wage demands and agent fees come down to a sort of more realistic price. And so in that case, I'll put it to you. I'll put it to you guys in the comments. If Edison Cavani lowers his wage demands and the agent fees are more realistic, if he comes in on some normal wages, normal to high wages, would you like to see him sit on the bench? Because he is better than Ighalo. I think we can all agree he's better than Ighalo, right? So why wouldn't you necessarily want him to come in and play that role where you get an upgrade in quality and Ighalo goes in January? Under those circumstances, I don't think it's a horrible deal. But I certainly don't want to see him start. I don't think that was ever in the picture, but I want to make that clear that I don't want to see him start. And I don't want to see him come on extortionate wages where he might break the wage structure to an extent. I don't want to see that happening at all. But as I said, if he does come in on slightly lower wages and replace the Ighalo role, for example, I don't think it would be too horrible. You guys are saying yes, no, loads of mixed comments about Cavani. Yeah, we'll get on the Tellez thing in a second. People saying yes, no. G4 says no. Joshua says yes, definitely. Elijah says, I don't want Cavani at all. Get out. People say no, not at all. Who is this guy? Sander, nice to meet you. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name. Says Cavani can improve Martial's finishing. James says just another Sanchez. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. The high wage demands, slightly older player, past it, that sort of thing. A cast off. Well, Sanchez wasn't a cast off, but you guys' comments are going so fast. Joe says depends on the contract length. Could do a Zlatan type deal. Yeah, I agree. If he could come in on a 2-year deal. Oh, that's the other thing. Thank you for bringing that up. He wants a long-term deal. He wants to, maybe 4 years deal. I've just made that up, but it's reported. Fabrizio Romano said that he wants a long-term deal, which is absolutely not the sort of thing that I think Manchester United should be getting themselves into. A long-term deal for, how old is Edison Cavani? Let me have a little look. Let me have a little look. But a long-term deal for someone who's past it clearly and going to come in and not start. He is 33 years old. So if you give him a 4-year deal, he's going to be 37. If you give him a 3-year deal, he'll be 36. It's got to be a 2-year deal maximum for me. And so, no, listen, the wage demands needs to come down. The agent fees need to come down. The fact that he wants a long-term deal needs to absolutely get out of his mind. It's got to be a 2-year deal maximum, take him to 35 years old and then he can go to MLS. Anything other than that, for me, it's a horrible deal. If he does come in, under the circumstances where it is a 2-year deal, and those sorts of things, I'd be willing to see it happen. William says, Jesus, Cavani would be way better than Ighalo. At least Cavani is a proven top-tier striker. I agree. I do agree. He'd be better than Ighalo. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Higuain came to the Premier League at a slightly older age from a foreign league, and he was doing well in the foreign league. Came for Chelsea on loan. Stinker. So you never know. You never know what someone's going to do. But I certainly think it's an improvement on Ighalo. Because I don't think Ighalo's really doing much at all at the moment. James says, we are a joke under these owners. I'd agree. Amateur says, Manchester United has better players, Cavani, Sancho, and all who they are looking at. These players are just not fit, believe me. They are very weak. Well, I don't think Cavani's a bad player. I certainly don't think Jadon Sancho is a bad player. It's just whether you get them right in on the right circumstances. And I think there's a position there for Cavani if Ighalo goes in January, which he will. I certainly think there's an opportunity there for a sort of slightly older striker maybe to be brought in who's willing to sit on the bench. But it's the fact that he wants the ridiculous wages. It's the fact that he wants a long-term deal that makes me think that it's a deal I wouldn't like to see happen. Connor says, Dembele... Sorry. COVID. Dembele and Cavani don't fit with Ole's ethos. I'd agree with that. I think Dembele probably leans towards Ole's ethos slightly more. You could say the same thing about Ighalo, though, to be fair. So, there's always position for people to come in. He says, these signings just undo all the hard work he has done since coming in. Woodward is a major bell. That's from Connor. I'd agree. Galactic Sabres also with another contribution. Thank you. And Akil says, happy birthday, Sander. Thank you so much. So, yeah, listen. I don't think it's a Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing, and so that for those reasons, I'd be slightly worried. FIFA says, we want Cavani. Errol says, put him on pay-as-you-play deal. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but something like that, pay-as-you-play deal, that would be a nice deal, because he's 33. I don't know when his birthday is, so I don't know when he's turning 34, but he's only going to get older now. He's not going to get any better, to say the least, and so if you're going to stick him on high wages and a long-term deal, that's definitely something I'd not like to see happen. William says, I think the Tellez deal is gone. Your thoughts, Sander? Well, as you can see there, we'll move on to Tellez now. Fabrizio Romano also tweeted about Tellez. At the bottom of that tweet there, he says, Manchester United won't accept to pay the 25 million euros for Tellez with 8 months left on his contract. Obviously, City were linked to him earlier. I don't know the credibility of those reports, and I don't know the severity of Manchester City's interests. But clearly, United are interested in him. But as Fabrizio Romano says, United aren't willing to accept the 25 million euros for Tellez when he's only got 8 months left on his contract. Now, objectively, I understand. I get it. I do get it. I think that's fine. But the fact that United certainly needs signings and there's not long left in the window means that, if United move away from Tellez now, every club with a decent left-back is going to be going, 25 million euros, please. No, don't have him then. Because United want a left-back. Clearly, United are going to get desperate and go, all right, well, there you go. Do you know what I mean? So, I'd worry for United's transfer business, and I worry for that Tellez deal. I said all along, I think it's a deal that will happen. There's no reason in my mind that it shouldn't happen, but clearly United are penny pinching again and don't want to pay up for the 25 million euros. I understand he's only got 8 months left on his contract. I understand that that's quite steep for someone with that little amount of time left on his contract. But how much you want your left back? How much you want your left back? So that's as far as I'm concerned. What do you guys think of that Tellez thing? Again, I think it shows ineptitude and incompetence from the Manchester United board. Ivona with a contribution, thank you, says Ighalo earns 180k a week and he's on a loan. Cavani would be a free agent and at 10 million a year. Cavani is a cheaper option and world class. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I just don't want to see him break any wage structures or anything like that. I know Manchester United wages are through the roof, but maybe I'm reacting so viscerally and so negatively to the reports because it just feels so 2015 United. Do you know what I mean? Like, if Cavani was brought in 2015, I'd go, yeah, but that makes sense. But the fact that it's 2020 and United are trying to go in one direction, Cavani feels like, it's a completely opposite direction from that. So there you go. I think that's why I'm reacting in the way that I am. I think it's a good comment though, Ivona. Jack with a contribution says Ibrahimovic was older than Cavani and scored 28 goals, so it could work. I'd agree. I think Ibrahimovic is a better player, but I'd agree. And Josh D says, I think whatever happens, the board after royally killed my mood this transfer window. Once again, we do not aspire to be a titled challenger anymore. No, but I think, I agree with you 100%. Incompetent board, inept. You could get all the adjectives in the world about the Manchester United board. And I'd agree with you if you were to do so. But Manchester United were never going to be title challengers this year. I don't think so. And if you thought so, I think you're getting a little bit ahead of yourself. I think they were never going to win it this year. I think maybe a challenge or a little bit of pressure on the top two, on those front two, would have been good. Maybe even going past City. We'll see how they get on today against Leeds. That would have been good. That would have been realistic. But I think to go out and win it, that idea was slightly too far-fetched. So I don't think we're missing out on a title this year, but I certainly think we're missing out on progression this year, and obviously then a title in the near future. Kitulu says Zaha's transfer. What's up about it? Nothing on Zaha at the moment, mate. Nothing on Will Zaha. Yeah. Elliot says, Sander, give us a wave. There you go, pal. Sammy says, who is Ibrahimovic? Must be a new subscriber. Must be a new fan. 5 years old. Sally says, I don't think Cavani is an Ole target. I'm thinking Ed Woodward. Sally, that's the exact sort of thing that I said. I don't think he's an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer target. I certainly think that feels like an Ed Woodward signing. But then again, of course, I do believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signed Ighalo. I do believe that he wanted Ighalo at Manchester United to fill that backup striker position. Whether he wanted people above Ighalo, I don't know. But he certainly was looking at that mould of player. And so you look at that. You look at Cavani. He's better than Ighalo. So why can't he come in and do the same thing? It won't be the worst thing. I think the thing with Manchester United fans at the moment as well is the fact that because Telles hasn't happened, because we haven't got a centre-back, a central defensive midfielder, because you know who hasn't signed for Manchester United, because of all these sort of mitigating these circumstances, United just react negatively. United fans just react negatively to anything. United can give away a ball. It's the board. And even though at times it might not be because of the board have, developed and created that pressure on themselves because they've been so incompetent in the transfer window. And so I can't help but react negatively to a deal that actually, if I get a little bit of rest, if I sleep on it tonight, I wake up tomorrow, I see Cavani in the shirt, he's on 180 grand a week, doesn't break any wage structures, free signing, free transfer. Maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Maybe, when Ighalo goes, it fits perfectly. But I can't help but react negatively to any signing that isn't Jadon Sancho at the moment. And I understand that that's slightly petty in a sense and childish, but it's just the frustration that's developed over the time amongst Manchester United fans. So Tristan Cully says, I'd offer 100 grand a week until he plays 20 games, then it rises to 200 grand a week, Christ, on a 2-year deal. Cavani was a top goal scorer in Europe until Mbappe arrived. The more I went live on this video very, very quickly, and so the more I'm thinking about it and the more I talk about it, the more that I feel that realistically, if he can bring his wage demands down, and specifically for me, doesn't stick out for a 3 to 4 year deal, he has to be 2 years. It can't be 3 to 4, maximum 2 with the option to extend, something like that. It can't be any more than that. If he does bring it down to that, and he does bring his wage demands down, and the agent fees do come down as well, I'm starting to warm to the idea slightly, but as I said, anything other than Jadon Sancho at this moment in time feels just wrong, doesn't it? It feels wrong, and that's why I think I initially reacted with a level of frustration and sort of irritants that I did. Loads of you getting into your super chats, thank you so much. Wow, Paulo Ramirez says, now our standard is to look for players better than Ighalo. Oh my God, some fans probably want to sign Ronaldinho or Peter Crouch too. I see what you're saying, and I think ideally my philosophy on bringing in players has always been you don't want to bring in a second 11 player that's going to create a second 11. You want to bring in a player that's going to create an alternate 11, a player equally as good as the one now starting. And that creates problems, but that creates good problems. And that's what Manchester City have. That's less so what Liverpool have, but that's what most successful teams have, because you're going to need to rotate and you're going to need injuries are going to happen, etc., etc. But I think when looking for an out-and-out striker, for some reason, my mind is just sort of slightly shifted in regards to being slightly more accepting to the idea of the striker being slightly older, and slightly, maybe more of a short-term deal, and that's why I look at players that are better than Ighalo, because I think that if we bring in Sancho, which I absolutely hope we will, and kind of think we will, I think Mason will eventually go up front, back up, bang, there you go. Back up to Martial. They can rotate, can also play on the right, of course. But I think that eventually will be a sort of striker alongside Martial. So I don't think a long-term striker would be a good signing necessarily, you know? Luke A, with your contribution, says, this is the problem. We go for high budget and risk players. Unlike other modern successful clubs, discovering and scouting talent, we are out of date. Thank you for your contribution. I think Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer specifically has changed the thinking where that sort of strategy is concerned, and that's why I've been so pro Ole, because I love the way that I love the direction that he's trying to bring the club in. But that's why I'm saying this feels slightly off. But as I said, the more I think about it, the more I'm starting to warm to the idea. If Jadon Sancho happens, get Cavani in all you want. I think we'd all be like that. I think if Jadon Sancho happens, get anyone in, we don't care. You know, get Telles, sure, come on. Who do you want? Cavani? Yeah, no worries, mate. Come on, let's get involved. But it's the fact that Jadon Sancho hasn't signed that makes any other signing feel slightly off. Blake says, if the board want to save money, why not go for Depay? He's homegrown, he's left us, and we have first refusal. If Barca want him there must be something. To be fair, I think it might work because he is young and that, I think it might work under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I just think that boat's sailed, and I don't think that deal will ever happen. Monaldo says, Arsenal board bottled our primary target when we had a free run at him, just like United. I don't know who you're referencing there, pal, but yep. Rudy says, we need to get rid of the Glazers. This is our time. Don't fill the stadium when we come back. Make Glazers quit. We won't get a better chance to get rid. I see what you're saying. As someone who has a season ticket, it's just, I agree with what you're saying. I think walkouts and things like that will certainly help to sort of get rid of the Glazers. But I also think that, you look at what 2010, you got 50, 60,000 people, obviously excluding the away fans, swinging the yellow and green scarves. We've had every protest under the sun, and so I don't think United fans can honestly do much to get the Glazers gone, to be honest. I think at the end of the day, when the Glazers go, it'll be just simply because they want to go. And as I said, I've got season ticket, and so if we do get back playing, it'll be very difficult for me not to go, and that's just the honest truth, because I love United and I really want to see him play. So, but I agree with you, it might be the next step that we might have to take. Elias says Jadon Sancho has no plans for a move to United. I disagree with that. Keith says, yes, United are playing catch-up, but how long do we have to wait until we start the progression to become a genuine force and reduce the massive depth difference, I don't know, between us and Liverpool, City and Chelsea? Well, there's no difference between us and Chelsea. We finished above them last season. So, yeah, they can sign all the players that they want, but we'll wait and see until we play them. But, yeah, I see what you're saying in regards to City and Liverpool. I'd agree with that. SGT... Smokey says, Sancho already pushing for a move. All smoke and mirrors. I hope so. Listen, the nature of... what's he saying? I'm getting a call. Right. Okay, the nature of, obviously, the whole Sancho thing is that, there's 2 days left. United could go in with a bid, and... him sitting out Dortmund, you never know. You never know how that's going to go. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. I thought I'd just pop on live just to update you with this bit of information about Romano, what Romano said. Yeah, we'll be back tonight at 8 o'clock with Mark Goldbridge. If anything happens in the meantime, we'll make sure to keep you updated. And so, yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Thanks all for watching. Bye-bye.